I have an image to keep.
I know. It's the Shelties that have an image to keep up, isn't
The
it?
Shelties do have an image to keep up. They do.
But, I mean, the Shelties are kind of treated like royalty, though, right?
They are, but my dogs are still dogs. They get to go out in the big field and run around. They're clean right now because I bathed them all, but they get to go and run and play and do whatever, so they're not like always on. They're like dogs. They go and play and they go for their walks and they get wet and play in the rain. My husband keeps telling me they're not married
So are
to
they
sugar.
pets?
They're pets. They are.
Yeah.
Yeah, they are. Oh,
Are they
yeah.
do you think they are for most people who are showing dogs?
Show dogs? I
Or
hope
is it-
so.
Or does it change? Like, is it just different for different people?
Different people. I think different people. All depends. If you have a big kennel and you've got a big breeding program, which is nothing wrong with it, but they're not always like pets. I'm a small breeding practice, and I haven't, like, I'm just starting up again to breed again. So they're my pets first.
Dog shows are among the oldest events for canines and their human companions, but they take a lot of work to get ready for. Today on NSK9, we're going to find out what it takes to become top of breed, top of class, and of course, top dog. I think of a dog show.
Yes.
And I've been to a few of these. I've been to
Okay.
agility dog shows,
Yeah.
and they make a lot of sense to
Yeah.
me. But, you know, then I think of some of the other ones that are a little bit like a pageant.
So that's a confirmation show. So a confirmation show is what the judges are looking at, and it's their interpretation of the standard. Every dog is bred to a standard. So they're going to look at movement, they're going to look at structure, they're going to look at coat, they're going to look at head type, ear set, tail set, those types of things. The reason it looks like a beauty pageant is because the grooming, some of them take a lot of grooming, our Shelties, the poodles, things like that. And then you have the dogs that are like wash and wear ones. My friends always laugh because they have Dobermans, so it's kind of wash and wear. I have a friend with a Basenji, wash and wear kind of thing. They do a little shaving and that's it, and then they show their dogs. But there's training involved in that too, because the dogs have to behave on the leash. They have to be standing still to be examined by the judge, have their mouths open because we check teeth and things like that. So there's a lot of work that goes into that.
Welcome to the world of dog shows. They're a mystery to many people, including many dog owners. Even within the dog show community, the ribbons and titles have different meanings for different people. What do they mean to people in terms of, I guess they mean different things to different people.
Yeah.
Some people collect them, but
I
they
do.
also,
I collect
I know
them.
you collect them. We saw the walls,
I keep all of my ribbons.
which is great,
Right.
but it also means something in terms of you as a breeder.
Yeah, as a breeder, then I can say she's a multi-group placing dog. So when people come, but you know, some people, they don't care if she's a multi-placing dog.
They just want a nice
They
dog.
just want a nice dog.
With dog shows meaning so many different things to different people, it's no surprise that they draw people of all ages and from a wide variety of backgrounds. Alan Boyle went from riding motorbikes to being one of the few Old English sheepdog participants in the Maritimes.
We wanted a pet, and we wanted something big, and my wife always liked them. We found somebody that was good enough to let us have one, and then called us up one day and said, listen, we're going to a dog show. Would you like to bring your dog? I said, well, what's that? I had no idea. He said, oh, there'll be some other dogs there, and it's at a park outdoors. It'll be great fun. So we went. I didn't have a clue what I was doing. I had a horrible time. My wife loved it and entered us in another show. And I liked that one a little bit better. And I gradually learned how to maintain my dog and keep his coat up, and enjoyed doing that. That's about the most relaxing part of my day, is sitting down and brushing a dog.
At the other end of the spectrum, Madison LeBlanc is part of a new generation. But despite her young age, she's been showing and winning with a variety of dogs for years.
I first started off by doing juniors, and then I started to show with like handlers and like more older handlers. I started when I was 7.
Conformation shows are about look, about coat. They're about what dog most closely resembles the standards established for various breeds. It takes a skilled judge to look beyond exceptional grooming.
The look for the ring is really exaggerating the features of the dogs. They're supposed to have a big head. You fluff the coat up, makes the head look a little bigger. They're supposed to have a rising top line. They're higher in the back than in the front. Okay. So you exaggerate that with the coat.
Our shelters go on the table. He's running his hands over, and his hands are telling him something. He's going to tell the shoulder lay back. He's going to tell us about, how the back is, and where our tail set is. And actually, when I was talking to the gentleman with the Old English, he says, you need to come and put, because I've always looked at his dog, and all it is puff. He says, come and put your hands on my dog. Because we don't put our hands on each other's dogs because of the grooming entails.
Well, I noticed that, right? Because,
Yeah.
I mean, normally, like, you're hanging around with lots of dogs and everybody's coming up and petting. Here, nobody's petting one another's dog.
No, because it takes me a lot to get this. And for him, it takes him a lot to get it puffed up, right? So, and part of it's coat. And it's also the coat texture and things. They're going to check all of that to make sure it's correct. Okay. If we have a really soft coat, it's incorrect. They like a little bit of a harsher coat. That's what they're looking. That's what he's feeling. He knows what his hands are telling him. So it's not only that I want world peace. It's that my dog is well structured.
And there's just specific things the judges should be looking for, and they've got to get under the coat to make sure that's there, to make sure that I'm just not a really good groomer that made him look like he was more than he actually is.
See the stress of a show dog.
What's the funniest thing you've ever seen at any of these?
I watch poodles with hair extensions.
Hair extensions?
It's not a well-kept secret either. Because I watched them at a dog show.
Is that allowed?
Yes!
Really?
You're allowed. We're not supposed to enhance the dogs or use a lot of product.
But there is a lot of product.
There is a lot of product. Yes, there is, and it is. But when we have like some of the European judges come over, everybody tones it down because they don't use a lot of product over there. But in my opinion, sometimes if you don't do it as much as everybody else, you're not going to do as well.
Yeah.
I've lessened on what the products I use because I found some really good products that I don't have to use a lot on my dogs, which I love. But it's brushing and grooming and trimming, and it'll take me a few days to get my dogs ready.
Once a month is adequate unless there's a medical reason for doing it often. And I think myself, brushing is more important than bathing because it stimulates the natural oils and takes the dead hair out.
For these guys, it actually starts many days before because their coat has to be completely mat-free, they have to be bathed, they have to be dried. So then I hope it's going to be dry the day of the show.
Nothing worse than a wet dog at a dog show.
And I need, ideally, 2 hours from the time I get to the show till he has to be in the ring. So if we have a start early in the morning, it's a little hectic. And the shows are never, less than an hour from home, so that comes into it too. We were up at 5 this morning.
Well, you have to groom them, so you can put like shine spray to make them shiny, but that's only at the end. Well, but we didn't put him on my Swedish Val Hunt because of his coat, because he has a furry coat, and and it's oily, so we don't want it to like screw up his coat.
So I got here and I had already I bathed her last night. I was really late bathing her last night. And then starting to groom, like just adding my grooming aids and did that all up. And then when I was over in the other building, I just added to it. So I wanted her white to be a little bit whiter and brushing her all out so her coat looks smooth and well groomed, because they look at that. If you take a scruffy dog, scruffy, dirty dog in the ring, the judge isn't going to look at you. So you want to make sure they're nice and clean and brushed out well, that they're, for her top line's laying down flat, it looks well, you know, the back end is not looking scruffy, her feet are all trimmed up.
So compare this to a beauty competition for me. How much of it is that and how much of it is the handling?
Grooming definitely plays a part in it. Today, he was watching movement. If you watched, he made us run around a lot. He was watching movement. So to him, movement was big. And he was looking at the presentation. So it's all over picture. When he looks at it, he wants to look at a well-groomed dog, a well-presented dog. He wants to look at a dog that fits his eye of the standard. He wants to watch, you know, that the handler is well presented. If you look at most people, we're all dressed accordingly out of respect to the judge.
You have to dress.
I do, yes. Yes, because you have to, you need to have some respect for the judge in the ring. So you dress accordingly, and most of us use contrasting colors to our dogs. We always have pockets. So when you're looking for suits for the dog show, you don't want your dog to blend into you. And you have to have pockets, because then you have to have your bait, because we'll use bait for the dogs to show expression, because that's very important for the judge to see.
So there's a lot of thought that goes into this whole process.
There is.
After a lot of time and work, grooming is finally done. But that's just the start at competition time. At this point, we should step back and talk a bit about how conformation dog shows work. You know, the ones that look a bit like beauty pageants to us outsiders. For the most part, these are purebred dogs which have not been spayed or neutered who are competing. More recently, there are categories for so-called altered dogs, but don't forget, this sport originated as a way to validate who had good canine breeding stock, and that's something which is still part of the breeding world. At the shows, dogs compete against others of their own breed for the title Best of Breed. From there, winners compete in categories based on the type of dog, such as sporting and herding and terriers. Finally, the winner of each of those categories goes on to compete for the most coveted title of all, Best in Show. One thing competitors cannot easily plan for is the fact that it all comes down to the opinions and priorities of each judge.
Some judges are faster than others. They do have a time standard that they're supposed to stick to, which is 20 to 25 dogs an hour. Sometimes it takes a little longer. You know, but he's having a really good look at everybody.
Quirks, right?
Yeah. And you saw what he did. He cut the group, right?
Yeah.
He pulled out some of the dogs and they left.
Narrowed it down.
And then he narrowed it down to who he really wanted to look at, and then he picked his top 4. So what you saw running around the ring was the herding group. Okay. So all those dogs won their breed. So she won Shelties. Right. So she beat out the other 6 dogs. So she was best of breed. So what you saw in there was all best of breed dogs. And then what they do is they compete for 1 to 4, and that's where the judge will place them.
Thank you very much. Thank you so much. Thank you for recognizing that. You did a great job.
On this day, both Madison and Christine made it to the top 4 in the herding group.
The best one, which was the Border Collie, she was the best of the herding breed, according to that judge. And then the second was the cute little girl, Madison. Yeah. And then Aurora got the 3rd, and then the 4th was the Australian Shepherd.
You were a little bit excited to win a ribbon.
I was. I love winning ribbons. I'm a little competitive.
And you weren't sure how this would go, right?
Because it's been a long time since I've been under this judge. There's different dogs in the ring with us all the time. She had a spook last time we were in the ring. I wasn't sure whether she was going to present. I was working the ears. You saw I was working the ears because he looks at expression. And if she's got her ears pinned back and she's looking scared to death, he's going to go, right? So what I did is I'm trying to get her expression. I want her happy in the ring. You don't want a dog slunking around the ring. You want it happy and enjoying what it's doing, because then there's no fun in it, right? I want to have my dog to have a good time.
Okay, so now you have the ribbon and your dog has had fun, but that's not all. Ever wonder why purebred dogs have long names? Well, part of it is dog shows.
So the reason the dogs have long names, purebred registered dogs have long names, is it usually has their conformation title at the beginning. Then they have the kennel name, so where you bought your dog from. So Trip is Champion, because he has his champion in conformation. Wind and Fog, who is my kennel name, that's my registered kennel name. And his plain name is Replay, so he's champion, Win and Fogs, replay, CGN, which is his Canine Good Citizen, RAE3, because he did his Rally Excellent Advanced 3 times. That's actually 30 trials, 30 qualifying scores, doing Rally and Excellent, in Excellent and Advanced together 30 times and qualifying. Never failed a class. And then CD, because he had his novice obedience title. So that's why he has that name.
Got all that? It's okay if you didn't, but here's what you need to know. It gets even more detailed when you start including the points dogs have accumulated at dog shows. For example, here are the names of the 2 dogs Christine brought this weekend to the Cobequid Dog Show.
So I have Grand Champion, Grand Gables, No Time to Chill. And he had to have Chill in his name because his sire was Chill Factor. So I had to have Chill. That was what the breeder wanted me to do because he's from Ontario. And then my other Grand Champion that I have is Grand Champion Kilburn's Aurora Borealis. My husband named her, and her name is Aurora. So she's 13 months old. Penn is, that's who No Time to Chill is. His name is Penn. They had to earn their championship, which is 10 points in a confirmation show. There's a whole thing all about that, okay? And then, but they had to have a major 2 points, so they had to beat some dogs to get 2 points. And then to get their grand champion, after they got their champion points, they had to earn another 20 points. And Aurora did it before she was 13 months old.
Back in the day when they didn't have that nice blanket to sleep on or the bed, it was a way of tamping the grass down before they laid down, and also a way of doing a 360 sniff to make sure that they weren't going to lie down and get somebody who was going to jump on them and eat them.
We're hurry up and waiting. You'll soon be up.
So why do people do this stuff?
Because it's fun. It's fun. It's a challenge some days. They keep you humble. I had a dog I trialed 20 times in open, which is a part of obedience, and she would change her mind on once a trial. She'd do something wrong just to keep me humble.
We've been focusing on the confirmation part of dog shows in this episode of NSK9. But it's worth mentioning that that isn't the only event that happens at dog shows. 2 other events go hand in hand. Where's that paw and paw?
You have obedience and rally, which are performance events. Obedience is a little bit tougher to do. There's not a lot of talking to your dogs. It's very...
So obedience isn't like me going to obedience class with my
No,
dog.
no, 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 no.
To sit and stay.
No, exactly. No, we don't. No, it's the fact is you do a heel pattern. Your dog has to stay in heel position. It has to sit when you stop. It has to, you retrieve a dumbbell. It has to go out over the jump to get a dumbbell, come back again. Tons of training. And you're not allowed, you give like 1 command to do it.
We're ready. Forward. Let's go.
Christine competed in the rally competition with her Sheltie Penn. Remember before the break the dog with the name No Time to Chill? Well, his short name is Penn. And finally, he has a rally title. And guess what else? His name just got longer.
Penn's 3, and he had a scare 2 years ago. So it's taken me a lot to get him where he was. And some of the parts were a little rough, trying to get him to move a little bit, because he kept watching the judge. The judge was really close. He was following us fairly close. Usually they stand away. So he was a little nervous, but he made it through and got a 97, and that's his title.
And that's out of 100.
Out of 100,
Yeah.
yeah. So he is now Grand Champion, Grand Gables, No Time to Chill, RN. So now he has...
So his name just got longer because of this morning.
Exactly, because of this morning, right. Because all the obedience and the performance titles go at the end of your dog's name, and the confirmation titles go at the beginning.
Titles and ribbons. That's the simple way to look at dog shows. But they are so much more. They're yet another way people enjoy life and activities with their canine companions.
We've trained all of our dogs to like sit, give high five, and like lay down and stuff. And I've also trained her to, when it's time to show and I put her show lead on, she has to smarten up and not sit, not give high five, not give paw, or not lay down.
I've had people start with me in puppy kindergarten, they just have it a pet. And then it was like they got bit by, they've been to their first dog show or they went to their first trial and they're like, oh, I want to try that. I have a lady with a corgi now that's competing and doing very, very well just because she went to a dog show and she learned about, it was a trial actually, to what was going on. And she's like, I want to do that. And now that's what she does. It's amazing. The dog's really good too.
For those who participate and those who just go to spectate, there's no question that this is a sport.
My friends don't know what it is really because they're more into like soccer, hockey, and all them kind of sports. But I think dog shows still a sport, even if, because dog shows you still compete, you still go to different places, and so do soccer, hockey, basketball, like all them sports too.
What's it like seeing the younger kids doing this?
Awesome. That little one behind me is so cute. Yeah. And we need it. We're getting older, and we need some young ones coming into the sport. Because as we get older, the sport's dying. Because
Why is that? Is it just being taken over by other dog sports?
Other dog events. It's expensive. I do mostly local shows because it is expensive for me to travel and do things like that. So that's part of it. And we're getting older. And we've got to bring the young ones in. So when we see juniors going in and getting them to do things, and it's the same in obedience. It's dying out too, where there's some of the fast-moving sports like duck diving and agility and things like that. Some of them are taken over, but it's always like a trend, right? It'll come back. It'll come back. We just keep the young ones coming.
On this day in Truro at the Cobequid Dog Show, Madison, Christine, and Alan's dogs all walked away with ribbons. Alan's Old English sheepdog, whose name is Grand Champion Cubic's Whole Lotta Hugs, took home Best in Show. But Madison takes home the award for Best Advice.
Always be happy with your dog and never get frustrated with it.
What would you say to somebody who was thinking about getting into showing dogs?
Think about it a long time. It affects where you live, what you drive, what you do with your time off, and your disposable income.
Becomes your whole life, doesn't it?
I mean, I haven't had children at home for a long time, but I drive a minivan because of my dog.
Visit us online to tell us your dog stories for possible inclusion in future episodes. And don't forget to share photos of your canine friends on social media with the hashtag NSK9.
This is like your thing, isn't it?
This is my thing. I love this. This is awesome. I do. And it's social too, right? A lot of my friends are here. Unfortunately, a lot of my students are sick, so they didn't come. But I know a lot of these people. I've known them for years. So we stand outside the ring, we chit chat, we catch up on things, who's doing what, who's going where, what your dog's up to.
Imagine if you could take your dog to work with you. Your dog might even think it has a job. Well, next time on NSK9, we meet dogs who look forward to going to work every day.
Marty always looks for an invitation to join someone on their lap or on the treatment table, and sometimes he will take a nod or like a slight little hand movement as an invitation to hop up. So there's been times when he's hopped up and maybe he hasn't
that's
actually been
happened to me
invited, but generally he waits for his invite.